I don't want to just hear, it makes me feel embarrassed. I want to understand why and how. Story 1. 3 stages. 1. First, a little confused, even paranoid. I mean, why would this girl approach me and ask me out? Is this some sort of dare from her friends? Is there a secret camera filming this for social media? Why me? Why not some guy who is more fit and physically attractive? Shocked and flattered. Usually, at this point, my mind pivots towards, wow, I am being asked out. She finds me handsome and attractive. I am touched. It is an immediate confidence booster. If with a girl that I also find attractive, it can be an instantaneous bond. Honored and happy. Usually, I am the one who does this to girls, but now that one has taken the lead, it is an amazing feeling. I feel happy that I am with a woman who is capable of speaking her mind. It also makes me honored that she chose me out of the available heterosexual men. Story 2. You feel like the man. For a change, this cute girl has asked me out. That is a confidence boost right there. Story 3. Suspicion. Thoughts race. What is she planning? Why does she want to get me alone? Just me and her. Does she resemble any of those wanted posters plastered on storefront windows around town? The usual thoughts, really. Story 4. It would always depend on who it is, of course. Anywhere from, oh no, this is awesome, to, oh no, what have I done? Story 5. This is something that actually happens? Laugh out loud. I do not know a single male who has ever been asked out by a female. I am not saying it has never happened in real life, but yes, that is an entirely foreign concept. Story 6. Believe it or not, men are individuals, and their reactions to being asked out will vary as much as the men themselves. Their responses will also depend on who is asking them out, as well as when and where. Story 7. It feels great. It takes the fear of rejection off the table, and you are pretty certain that she is at least somewhat interested in you. Story 8. It is so uncommon that I assume it is a joke, but if it is not, I am blown away. The idea that a woman looked at me and thought, I am going to go against convention and approach that man, took a lot of self-confidence. She is likely very interested, not to mention she sees me and does not think I am some scary creep and feels safe enough to just walk up to me. Story 9. I would feel incredibly flattered. I have never been asked out by anyone. I could probably live off that feeling for a whole year. Story 10. Like women, it's great when you're attracted to her. When you're not, not so much. But still flattering. It's great because you already know she's interested, so the hard part has already been taken care of. Story 11. It is nice but also confusing. Most men have not experienced it, so it is safe to say most would not know how to react properly in a way that keeps the flirtation going. Story 12. It's generally an excellent confidence boost for the day, week, or month. If it is someone not my type, I feel bad but still honored. Honestly, in this day and age where advances from men often seem unwanted or creepy, and many women appear perfectly content without men, the ball is kind of in their court. As such, I think it is great when they make the move. Story 13. What's the catch? Is this a honey trap? If a girl cold approaches me, if I have known the woman for a long time, sure, I am game. Let's see where this goes. Story 14. Once a girl asked me out. I did the most extreme thing. I married her. We have been together 19 years and counting. Story 15. What kind of artificial intelligence content is this? Hey, do you like it when someone likes you? Please stop with the nonsense. Story 16. In high school, having a girl ask you to the Sadie Hawkins dance was ego-satisfying. At community college, it was still ego-satisfying. In adulthood, it was more surprising than anything else. When my wife did it, I was shocked. Imagine Salma Hayek asking you out. My wife was the prettiest woman Marine ever produced by the Republic of Texas. Story 17. This question is asked every day, and women still do not ask men out. I wonder if this is just a performance. Story 18. Excited, grateful, and appreciative. Can we stop at your place so I can express my gratitude? Story 19. I think it would be really cute, mainly because I just do not have the confidence to do it myself either. So it would help. Story 20. I might feel very surprised and thrown off. What goes through my mind is, okay, who dared you to do this? Or am I on camera? It only happened once, didn't last long, and I lost her unfortunately. As much as I liked her, she lost feelings for me, which is all right now. It is now purely non-existent. Story 21. Why would I feel embarrassed? I am not an insecure man, and I know my qualities. Such a thing can never hurt my ego. Honestly, I think it would be a red flag if it did. If she were not my type, I would still be flattered and gently turn her down. If I found her attractive, I would be happy and agree. Story 22. I am either going to have a great night or I am going to wake up in an ice bath with no kidneys. It just does not happen. Story 23. Honestly, not a single time this happened was I interested in the woman, so it always felt awkward. If I liked a woman and she asked me out, that would be a different story, I presume. Story 24. I appreciate the gesture. Sometimes I accept it, and sometimes I do not, always kindly. It was awkward for me when I was young during my teenage years because I was generally awkward, but you get used to it and it is not a big deal. Men should not feel offended by it, and women should not feel too shy to do it. Story 25. I have never asked a girl out in my life. A few girls in school and college asked me out. I have been in 3 serious relationships and a few casual ones. Of those 3, 2 asked me out and I was flattered. My current girlfriend and I were friends first and became partners without anyone asking. To answer your question, it feels good to be wanted. Story 26. Honored. Why would I feel embarrassed? A girl has seen me and decided that she wants to ask me out, despite the fact that our culture encourages it to happen the other way around. I just wish it had happened to me more than twice. Story 27. Happy if I am interested in her, uncomfortable if I am not. Being rejected is not fun, but neither is doing the rejecting. Story 28. Back in my dating years, when this happened, it was so surreal I thought she did not want to date me and just wanted to be my friend. Years later, happily engaged, a now friend explained what I was doing. Story 29. I get very excited if I am interested in someone, but feel terrible if I am not. I do not have enough practice in letting people down gently. Story 30. I feel my heart swell and grow warm. I start stuttering and my head goes blank. It is because I truly do not expect girls to ask me out since it is usually the other way around. I know how hard, scary, and nerve-wracking it is to ask someone out. So I am really touched and have high respect for them. That is how I feel. Story 31. Most men, even the really good-looking ones, don't get asked out very often. Good-looking men experience it enough to know how to navigate it easily. This is because this is not something women usually do. Good-looking men are more capable of understanding flirting. Average men need to be a little more direct. With that background information out of the way, it heavily depends on how many times it has happened before, but on average, it is extremely flattering. It makes you feel something men often do not feel unless they are in a good relationship, and that is desired and wanted. Story 32. Confused. Being approached romantically is so far outside most men's experience that it actually feels confusing. There is a voice in my head saying, "This can't be what's actually happening. I must be misinterpreting her words." Know this about making romantic advances toward men. They might not react the way you expect because they might not understand that you are expressing interest. I know it feels obvious to you, but we don't read minds. We have to guess your intentions based on your actions and words. Being approached romantically feels unlikely to us, and misinterpreting someone's intentions as romantic has a high cost. So most men will try not to think you are expressing interest. You really have to be clear about what you are doing when you express interest. Be clear, direct, and friendly. Women tend to communicate in hints because not leaving yourself with any plausible deniability feels scary. Men do not communicate in hints and are not practiced at interpreting them, so we miss or dismiss them as misunderstandings. Do not hint at men. It is not effective. Story 33. It has happened to me 3 times, I believe, and I felt great every time. It is nice to know when someone is interested in you. Story 34. It is a great feeling because it is like guaranteed success without worrying that she might say no if you ask her. Story 35. Feels pretty awesome. If I already like the girl, I would say it is a feeling of elation. If it is someone else, it is still a confidence booster. Story 36. I would feel ridiculously flattered, and I would at least go out with them once no matter who they were. Does this actually happen to guys? Story 37. I like it. It has only happened to me twice. It is cool that they take charge in initiating but still give me space to lead in other areas. They were not overbearing or masculine. They were just assertive in not wanting to let me get away before they had a chance to talk to me, and I can appreciate that very much. Story 38. Depends on the girl and modality. Certainly flattered if it is genuine. If it is someone I am interested in, I would be very happy and go home singing like a Disney princess. Although I often sing while driving my car anyway. Story 39. It happened to me a couple of times. One of them, my ex-girlfriend said, "I think you should invite me for dinner," which honestly was the best way of making her intentions clear without intimidating me too much. Last time it happened, I had been on a couple of dates with this girl, and she mentioned she doesn't have time for dating because of her Doctor of Philosophy degree. Now I'm feeling absolutely confused and devastated. She was the one asking me out and making her intentions clear, and now she just pulled back. Story 40. I was in absolute disbelief, and for a week, even though we worked with one another, I didn't take it seriously after we exchanged numbers. I was waiting for her to flake on me and say never mind at any moment. Even after our second date, I still didn't believe her. It was only when I asked her to be exclusive with me that she laughed and said she had been exclusive from the moment we exchanged numbers. We had a good relationship for the most part. Eventually, things came to light that ended it. I'm still grateful, however, because if it wasn't for that relationship, I would have gone my entire life thinking I was not worthy of affection. I still kind of feel that way for other reasons, but at least for a moment in time, I felt somewhat wanted by someone. Story 41. A few times I did not even comprehend that they were asking me out. They would say, "Come by my bar sometime, and I will get you some drinks." And I would think that bar is kind of far. Then, a few months later, I would realize, oh damn. Story 42. This has only happened a few times in my life, and it was a long time ago. If it happened now, I would feel skeptical. I would assume I was on some hidden camera comedy show or something. Story 43. I love it. So much so that I refuse to ask women out. It is not happening. The only way I know a woman is interested is when she actually makes an effort and asks me out or flirts openly. Otherwise, I have to deal with constant politeness because women are afraid of outright turning me down as they may fear violence. It is worse because I am black. I am not dealing with that anymore. Any woman worth my time will come to me. Story 44. If I am attracted to them, either this is amazing, this never happens to me, or well, this feels like a trap because it never happens to me. If I am not, now I have to make someone feel bad by turning them down because getting rejected is unpleasant and I do not want to make someone feel the way I feel when I get rejected. Story 45. I like it. It shows confidence that many people generally lack. I also love when women approach me first to introduce themselves. It piques my interest more than the subtle glances across the room that many women give. Story 46. If you are embarrassed if they ask you out, I would really hate to be you if they just walk up and ask you to go to bed with them. Yes, it has happened. Granted, I am old now and it was years ago. Story 47. I would feel incredibly shocked as it never really happens. Then I would quickly have to figure out if I like them for who they are or because they like me. Story 48. I feel great. I have never felt embarrassed to be asked out, and I cannot think of a reason why I would be. I feel great because it is validating that I am attractive enough to her that she put herself out there and asked me out. It is exciting because of what it could lead to a date. This makes me feel validated and excited, not embarrassed. Story 49. This has never happened to me before, but I will feel relieved that I do not have to put in all that effort. Story 50. If I like someone, I am overjoyed that the feeling is reciprocated. If I am not interested, I consider how to gently let them know. Story 51. I think many people feel weird or embarrassed because we know every little fault or imperfection about ourselves. For example, I struggle with empathy, chronic pain, and patience. We see our flaws before our good features. Story 52. I don't mind. It makes it clear and to the point. If I find her attractive, think she is cute, and has a great personality, I will make it work. I am too shy to talk to women in this day and age, so this helps out a lot. Story 53. My wife did this and then asked me to get married after 4 years. We will have been married for 5 years in October, so I guess I was okay with it. Story 54. Flattered. Really? But I am loyal to my girlfriend. I have a friend who is single. The first response is anything but embarrassed or awkward, at least for me. Maybe jarring at first because I have only been approached a handful of times like that, but I hope most men treat it like a normal social interaction. Story 55. Flattered. As a young guy in my mid-teens to early 20s, I was asked out quite a lot because I would actually dance at parties and generally interact with other people. It is always flattering when people find you interesting, whether it is a romantic pursuit or just for a single event or dance. The key for both men and women is not to be awkward about it. Story 56. Over the moon. I really do wish more girls would ask guys out. For example, I work as a cashier, and because I like being professional, I would never ask out a customer. It sucks because sometimes it really feels like we hit it off and there might be something. Story 57. I feel great when a woman invites me out and takes initiative because it shows reciprocal intent and interest. I understand the perspective that men feel embarrassed when asked out by a woman, as it subverts the common social expectation that it is the man's duty. Imagine you have a boyfriend, and after months of complaining to him about how hard your part of the daily chores are, you do a role reversal experiment where you do his tasks for a week and he does yours. He finishes your tasks in a third of the time and has enough energy to invite friends over, relax on the porch, and cook a 3-course meal for dinner, easily surpassing you and making your tasks seem trivial. Some men feel embarrassed when asked out by a woman because it makes them feel like they are not good enough at their role, especially if you do their tasks much better with ease. Story 58. Good, because it means I do not have to put 100% of the effort into the relationship. Do not tell me that you are an equal partner when you have never once planned or paid for a date. Story 59. It's nice. Honestly, I have agreed to go out with girls I would have never asked out just because they asked. That does not mean I would say yes to everyone, but assuming I do not actively find you unattractive for whatever reason, I will usually at least try one date just to see how it goes. Story 60. It only happened to me once, although time and experience have made me reconsider some past interactions as possible attempts at asking me out without my younger self being aware. The one that I can confirm as genuine could not have been more poorly timed. She was a nurse. I was a patient in her care less than a day prior. I had recently recovered from an attempt on my own life, had no fixed abode, and nothing to my name except a duffel bag with some clothes and a laptop. I was not remotely ready to be emotionally available or involved with somebody else. That was doubly true when it seemed like it could be a breach of ethics, no matter what people's personal fantasies might say. My only regret is that, with everything else happening, I did not have the words to decline her as compassionately as I might have later on. These days, I would be much more receptive to advances if they were direct. I have been hung up on somebody for the last 12 years for one of anyone else who could compare. I would be happy for the interest. Story 61. Thrilled. The feeling of being pursued is quite intoxicating. If I am not interested, it is less intoxicating and unfortunate that I might cause the pain of rejection, but I am still deeply honored and appreciate the gesture very much. Story 62. I do not know. It has never happened, but I would imagine I would feel flattered and desired. We would start getting to know one another from there, and you would have already earned some respect for having the courage to do what many others would not. Story 63. Applications are media that trigger through visual stimuli. This does not work particularly well with women unless you are attractive. However, even then, other important information is missing. Applications are good for short-term relationships. Story 64. This never happens to me, but if it did, I would wonder if I am being made fun of. However, if she is sincere, it would be a huge confidence boost, even if I am not interested in her. Story 65. It is awesome. I was asked out twice this week, had 2 great first dates, and one of them has serious potential. We are seeing each other again tomorrow. Story 66. I love it. I have been rejected before by women, and my wife was the first and only woman who asked me out. I never felt worthy or attractive as a man, but then here was this blonde lady, size 8 with a nice curvy figure, taking her time to come and talk to me. I don't think I will ever forget that. Only men will understand what it is like to be complimented. We hold on to that one experience for years and years. Story 67. Honestly, it depends on the woman, but I have had situations in the past where they did it as a prank. If she is out of my league, I wonder, what does she want from me? If it is someone I am not attracted to, I will let her down gently and tell her I am not interested. I might feel slightly rude, but it is my personal taste. Story 68. Never experienced this, but I guess something like, wow, it seems cool. Is it ironic? A joke? Or something like that. Story 69. The closest I have ever gotten to being asked out was when a girl showed interest and set me up to ask her out. She said, "Oh man, I am hungry. I hope soon's good." Honestly, I do not know how I would feel. I would be surprised and flattered for sure, but since it has never happened, I am not sure. If it was someone I was interested in, I would be over the moon. Story 70. I was approached once on Reddit by a lovely woman. She did not ask me out directly, but she definitely sent a direct message to see if there would be romantic interest. I will tell you, it was the best feeling ever. It made me question all of my perceptions of being hideous and unlikable. I respected and appreciated her courage deeply. Everything about it made me feel like I was floating on air for months. Story 71. It makes me feel good about myself, but also kind of uncomfortable since the women who usually ask me out are not my type, and I know that I have to reject them. There was also a time when a married woman wanted to cheat on her husband with me. Story 72. I am 38 and have always preferred mature partners. I would be delighted to receive a light bicep grab and a smile, be approached respectfully, or even be a little overly suggestive. It shows that you are genuine and know what you want. Story 73. Flattered, to be honest, and as long as I am not in a relationship with someone else, I would happily go on that date. After all, what is the worst that could happen? Story 74. One of my buddy's wife's little sisters showed interest in me when we were in our 20s. Turns out she had a crush on me when I was 18 and she was 13. I'm glad she waited until I was 27 to try something. It didn't work out in the end, but it was nice being pursued instead of doing the chasing. Story 75. It depends on the girl. If the girl I have a crush on takes the more dominant role and asks me out, then I'll be really excited. It might be a little strange working through a long-distance relationship for a few years, but I would stay faithful and support her every step of the way. As I mentioned before, it depends on the girl. Most of the time, I wouldn't have any bad feelings about it or be upset if a girl asked. I might say no, but honestly, a lot of guys say yes. However, be careful that it is really a good guy. 2 of my friends started dating when they were fairly young. The girl asked the guy. He was fairly new to dating and quickly became overwhelmed because the girl was both autistic and had no filter. They were also fairly different politically and religiously. Eventually, he broke it off and she tried to turn the entire friend group against him. Those, like myself, who kept quiet were assumed to be on his side, and eventually the entire friend group broke up. Ultimately, I don't think most guys have an issue with being asked out and might even like it because it confirms that a girl actually likes them back. Just as with all things, be careful who you ask, because people can quickly change or show their true colors. Story 76. Flattered. Most of the time while I was single, I would say yes because I automatically knew that you liked me and were attracted to me. A lot of pressure was off the table. You would not ask a guy out if you did not think he was cute in the first place. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.